Good morning, everyone. My name's Colin Hancock, and I'm the Head of Department for Policy, Innovation and Knowledge in the Certification Directorate, and I will be your moderator for this morning. So if you can take your seats, please, because I'd like to welcome Maria Rueda, who is our Director for EASA Safety Management, Sustainability and Global Outreach, to open the conference. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to Cologne. This is the second day of the conference, and I hope that you enjoy the nice environment here in Flora. We have around 350 people participating here on site, and another 160 online, which only shows how important certification it is for the European system and as well globally. I heard that yesterday's workshop was very interesting, and I'm looking forward to hearing the results that will be presented later. And then, so you know, many of you will know that in 2025 there was not a conference because we wanted to move it from Q4 to Q1. So we skipped a year, but from now onwards, we will have a conference every year on the first quarter of the year. So the next one will be in Q1 2027. So having said that, I will start to basically talk about the context that we are living in. Most of you will agree that we are in the most exciting but as well challenging moment of aviation. So we have more traffic than ever. We have lesser space. We have new risks that are coming from cyber and from other themes like weather changes, for example. And we have as well a geopolitical environment that is becoming more and more complex. So what does it mean for the certification world? So we have a booming volume of work. So we have more work than ever in EASA as well. We have lots of new technologies that are coming into the market, and then we have to figure out how to certify safely and as well sustainably, because the sustainability agenda is here to stay, as you know, and we are all committed to take it forward successfully. We have as well a massive impact of new opportunities and challenges that are coming from AI, machine learning, and all the new digital world that will help us, but we have to, again, integrate all those new technologies in a safe way. So having said that, what are we doing at EASA and with all of you to tackle these challenges? First of all, we need to secure our resources. So some of you may be aware that EASA has a ceiling on the number of people we can have. Actually, there is something around 820 people. When you compare to other big regulators like the FAA or even CAAC in China, it's very, very, very small. So we have a small team that is doing a lot. So we are working with the Commission, with DG Move, and many other players, and with you as well, industry partners, to be able to unblock this problem we have with the number of people we can have. Hopefully, we will get into a more flexible way to recruit people to accommodate demand, because the demand is there, and currently we have a gateway, a waiting list, basically. So that's the main challenge we have, but we are working on it to be able to be more flexible. The second one is to have a sustainable financial future, and on this, you will know that we updated the fees and charges the 1st of January 2026, and hopefully that will settle the way forward. But we still have some challenges on the subsidy segment, the money we have from the European Union. That is not enough, again, to pay for all the core processes we have in the agency, like safety risk management, rulemaking, innovation, sustainability. So we are working on that as well. And finally, we have a big issue with succession planning, skills, and how we make sure that we retain the expertise that is super valuable, especially for certification. EASA is now 20 years old, 22 years old, and most of the colleagues are in a basically bracket of 55 to 65. So a lot of people are either retiring now or on the next 5 years. So we need to make sure we capture all that expertise going forward, but as well we attract the new skills that we need for all the different functions we have, but especially for certification. So we are working on that with our resource management director, and hopefully we will be able to tackle that, but again, together with you, because you are probably facing the same challenges, and it's about sharing best practices and how we can cooperate with each other. The next thing we are doing is to become more efficient. So we are embracing digitalization, but before we do that, we are going to optimize our processes. So everybody in the agency that is a process owner has been asked to streamline the process, to make it more straightforward, to work with you, industry partners, to see how we can cooperate better on the way we exchange information, and then we will digitalize the processes. We have a roadmap for digitalization that goes all the way to 2030, and we will be, hopefully, fully digital by 2030, meaning that all the exchange of information we have with you, all the processes, all the things that we do will be digital with no gaps in the system as we have today, or a lot of manual transactions. So that is the aim, and we are really committed to do so. Then we are simplifying as well the regulatory framework. You probably have heard about this initiative that started last year, and we are very much working with our industry partners, but as well with the member states, to identify what are those regulations that we can simplify to decrease the burden on industry, and as well to make it easier for member states to oversee their industry. This is not an easy task, and we are working very hard in creating the right criteria to then select what are the things that we are simplifying, aiming at decreasing administrative burden, but as well being more proportionate and making sure that we don't create hurdles with the regulation, but we facilitate the development of our industry, which is really important on the world that we are living. As we know, some other regulators maybe innovate first and then regulate, like for example, China. We are not there yet, but we are trying to be more expansive to move towards that direction. And then I talk about international partners. This is very important. We keep our work with our international partners, with our EASA partners, the FAA, China, Japan, UK, Brazil, and Transport Canada, because it's in the interest of the industry that we harmonize the way we certify our products, the way we regulate. We don't want to create different ways of doing the same thing. That is extremely complex for you. And we have some examples in the past where we haven't harmonized at the beginning, like eVTOL, for example, and then it's very difficult to converge once we have started from different bases. So having said that, the level of safety that EASA is requiring for all the products will not change. We will keep having a very hard and strong level of safety, because that's what we do. We want to keep the system safe. But we will work with other partners to understand how we can do this together when possible. And the last thing we are doing is thinking a little bit differently and more expansively. Certification traditionally has been focusing on the product, on the aircraft, on the engine, and kind of ring fence. We need to think more expansively. We need to think about how that product is going to operate, how we are going to train the people that are going to operate that product, or maybe there are no people operating the product. So we are working in this concept of operation-centric certification, which includes all these elements: the product, the operation, the people, or whoever is going to operate that system, and then to figure out what is the level of safety we are asking at the end, how we can integrate the different elements to provide that final level of safety. This, as you can appreciate, is not an easy task. We have to be able to experiment as well. We are working on sandboxes on the ability to experiment more before we certify, so we have more data, and then we can use that data to have a stronger assessment of the safety of that product, including the operational environment in which it's going to perform. So this is what we are doing, and we hope to count on your support, because again, your expertise, your knowledge, anything that you can add into our thinking is very much welcome. And I'm not going to expand my speech anymore. I just want to say that there are many exciting topics that are coming to the agenda today. We don't have all the answers, but we really value your feedback. So please do exchange with us, and wish you a very fruitful meeting, and looking forward to hearing the conclusions from Alan later. Thank you very much.